Hi, I'm Allie,
And I'm Matt.
and we are from Bakersfield, California, and we recently quit our jobs and are now traveling the Americas in our big red van, Clifford.
So we converted Clifford in about 6 weeks, so we definitely did it in a hurry. We tried to capture as much footage as we can, but if you have any questions about how we built something or how we did some piece of the van, please leave us some comments or questions. We'd love to make more videos detailing exactly how we did it. Sorry again.
Just getting comfortable in the bed. It's really coming along. I feel comfortable. But really, we have 17 days left before we have to get out of our house, and it's freezing this morning in Bakersfield, aka it's like, what?
It's probably like 50.
50 degrees. I have 2 coats on. California people. Okay.
So what did we do yesterday?
Yesterday, I lined the flooring with, what's this stuff called? Do you remember?
I don't.
Well, I'll put it in the show notes. Or not the show notes. I have a podcast. I always think that. In the comment, or in the description box below. But it's kind of like, we had to order it online from Foam Direct. It's kind of like gym mat material, and I think they use it for gym mats. But basically, we cut a bunch of these strips. We, as in I, cut all these strips. And put them in the little rivets between, is that what it is? They are rivets?
I would call them grooves, maybe?
In the grooves between the protruding pieces. So the way to cut them, we found, is put this on the bottom, this cardboard, and then put this material on there, and then grab a level and an X-Acto knife. Right? That's what that is?
Yeah, it's like a box cutter.
A box cutter. I'm struggling with the words this morning.
It's early.
And then you put the level there, and then you just go shh, like that. And it comes out pretty quick. So all of this, I'm not done yet, but all of it probably took about 3 hours. And the floor already feels warmer. So then, after we lay down this, after I finish, we're going to put the plywood down, a 1/4 inch, we're going to try, and then we just bought vinyl flooring at Lowe's last night. So then we're going to lay the vinyl on top of that, and then we'll have flooring.
Cool.
Yeah. So, I'm going to turn it over to Matt.
I built these yesterday. These are gonna be our shelves for the back, over the bed, hold all our clothes, linens and stuff. I also started on some kitchen cabinets. So just kind of cruising away with framing stuff up.
What did you debate for like 3 hours yesterday?
About whether we should do the floor first or second. So obviously we started with like the bed, and I plan to, do the vinyl flooring kind of around it and do all the trim. Same thing with the walls. We decided it'd be easier to build all the framing, and that way I could anchor it to the wall easily with plus nuts, or to the floor, which I've done with the bed. However, then I got into this whole debate, what would be easier later on. So we decided we were going to start working on the floor. I still don't know for sure. I'm still building the cabinets. I might just put those on top of this insulation and then wait to like final trim the vinyl up against all the cabinetry and everything else. But I guess we'll see.
We shall see. The excitement awaits.
So excited.
She's excited over there. Licking a leg.
Chewing on herself. So I'm gonna install some furring strips on the roof to help support our like upper cabinets when we install those. So I've already kind of fabricated all these, but basically took a section of 2x2, trimmed just a little bit off of each side depending on how the interior of the van ribs works. So just so they fit tight against the roof, they'll sit in there like this. I'm gonna use some liquid nails on the top of the board and glue it to the roof, as well as use these pocket screws to attach it to the ribs on the side of or through the sheet metal. And I'll show you what that looks like inside of the van. Yeah.
Cool. Did you already glue it?
No.
You're just fitting it?
Yeah, just testing it. I didn't mark them. I marked some of them, which one were like, which way it was facing the back and which side of the car they were on. Because like, it's not 100% perfectly square, so I was just trying to make sure I had the right one going in the right place. But I think this is right, so we're gonna throw some glue on here and screw it in.
Woo!
Can't see.
Oh shit.
Help me out. Alright, so I've been working to install all these little stringers so we can hook our upper cabinets to them. Figured I'd show you a little bit more detail about how I made them. So, figured I'd show this front piece. I mean, essentially, just measuring between here and here, I knew I wanted 14 inches deep on the cabinet. So you can see this line right here. I made a plumb bob out of a crescent wrench and a piece of string. So I hung that down and then measured across to here because I'm gonna hook the bottom of the cabinet there. So these cabinets are gonna be 14 inches deep by about 16 inches tall, and it should fit right in this area. So measure between these two ribs here and here, and that gave me this piece. I also notched both ends of this just so it would fit tight up against the roof. Like I showed before, we're running liquid nails along the top of this to help glue it to the roof as well, but I also did 2 pocket screws on either end of this. So right now I'm just checking the fitment. On the first couple, I did not mark them well, so I switched up the ones that were left and right because the pocket screws weren't exactly identical. They did not fit in these holes very well. So now everyone since then I've been double checking. I don't recall the size I did of this, but just slightly smaller than the threads on these Craig screws. I think it was 7/64 maybe. But yeah, there it is. So the other piece I'll show you is in the center of our 06 spare. There's a different rib here. So most of them are nice and square like this, so it's easy to drill a hole in the side and use the pocket screws to attach them to the side. You see I already put this one up. There's a little bit of liquid nails coming out of there. So yeah, this has 2 pocket screws going into the side here. But on this end, I couldn't find a good way to get some screws in here. So what I did is I made the board an extra inch long and notched it out, tried to make it as tight as possible. You can see I missed this a little bit. The one on the other side fits a little better. But because of that, I'm basically gonna rely on the glue to kind of hold this side up. So I have a board braced off the floor. It's gonna hold that up while the glue dries up here. You can see I missed the placement a little bit and had to slide it. But I'm doing that for This one, there's one right here, one here, and I'm not doing one over here because this is where our stove, the flue for our fireplace is going to pass through the roof, so not hanging any cabinets or anything there. Obviously not one there because there's a fan there already, and that front one has 2 square ribs, so that'll be normal.
As Matt worked on framing the cabinets, I mostly worked on cutting the faces, sides, and bottoms to all of them. It was quite a tedious job, and ultimately everything turned out great, but there were a few moments where I was like, is this ever going to end? We decided not to put faces on the cabinets and instead run the wood beam across, just because of time and practicality.
I'm just gonna video you painting. So we have some overhead cabinets. Built those kind of the same way I did the back ones. I think I did a video on how I put those together. It's the same, just a little bit bigger. And that's pretty much it.
So we've been cutting out pieces for the cupboards basically all day.
I mean, I had to build them first.
He built them. Solid cubbies. Looking good. Gonna hold all of our shit. All of our stuff. PG.
Is this PG?
Probably. I think YouTube has to be PG. How has your mood been today, babe? Whoa, it just zoomed in on my zit. So today we are just framing up the shelves and the cubbies up here, and I put the wall up, left room for our little switch for the LEDs, and for these shelving we decided to use these little triangles and just rest the shelves on top of them and not put super heavy stuff on them. So this is going to be like a cabinet that is similar to this one, and we're also going to run some shelves on this little closet. And then we should pretty much be done with the woodworking. We still have to do the roof. Here we're waiting to cut the hole for the flue pipe for the wood burning stove. And yeah, coming together. So here is the finished product of the top 2 shelves. This one is 6 inches and this one is 10 inches. And then still have the cabinet to build out. The cubbies have bottoms on them. Anything else to add?
That's it. Gonna try to finish this shelf area and then just finish putting like skins on all the sides.
Yeah.
Make sure all these have sides and kind of make it look a little more put together and polished, so stuff doesn't fall out the sides of your drawers.
Not ideal.
Or your shelves.
You want to explain these upper cubbies?
Yeah. So because we have this style bed that converts into a table, it's obviously very low, so it makes like a regular kind of height chair and bench, especially with a cushion on it. We lost a lot of space and storage space underneath that you would get with like a platform type bed. So because we didn't have storage space underneath, we elected to build a lot of overhead storage, which I planned for initially. So what we did is I ran pieces of wood across between the structural beams of, if you can't see that one, so between this and the one next to it, I have a 2x2. You can actually see one here over the microwave. And I think I have some video of this as well, but I put pocket holes in the bottom of these 2x2s and pre-tapped or drilled a hole into this piece of the van and then used the Craig screws to just drill it straight in. So I ran these kind of wooden stringers the full length of the van pretty much, so that I could attach stuff to them to hang from. And you can see how this one's kind of constructed for the kitchen cabinets. I just screwed 1x2s into these like furring strips and kind of just framed everything down and across from there. So I also ended up running an additional 1x2 on some of these supports to give me more stuff to hang from with the cubbies, just because the dimensions didn't quite work out. With these cabinets I was able to get into the wall behind it because there's a piece of steel here. You can kind of see it right here. So that was easy to attach to. The cubbies were actually above that point, so there was nothing to attach the back side of them to, and I didn't think they'd be strong enough only supported at the front. So that's why I ran that, to give it kind of more structure to handle any weight or anything we put up there. Although we'll definitely try to keep heavy stuff down on the ground and on some of the heavier built cabinets that we have. So I'm working on making our shelf that's going to sit over the cab. We're planning to store like linens and some other stuff up there. And one video kind of showed you what we did with the dividers here and keeping those, and how I ran this piece of angle iron here to support those. So the idea is that that piece of wood's going to fit kind of up in this groove up here. It'll sit in here and on this shelf. You can kind of see that here. Yeah. So I've been working on building that, and I wanted to kind of show you guys what that's like, because it's very challenging to fit these curves as well as make everything fit here. So I was going to show you guys how I did that. So when we first started off, I started off with a piece of this 1/8" plywood. We've been using this to cover a lot of the shelves and things like that. Used it because it's pretty flexible. I started off with the full width and found it was really difficult to fit in there, so I ended up cutting it in half and just doing one half and then the other. So I used this to kind of get my template, and went back and forth probably 5 or 6 times to kind of keep trimming this curve until it fit pretty well. And then I transferred that to the piece that's actually going to sit there. This is 9/16 plywood, I think, so pretty heavy duty. I ended up having to trim the side of that fits up against the cab. I just used a roundover bit on a router. That was because of the shape of that, I was unable to fit that in there with this corner on there. It kind of pushed the whole board back. So by trimming this, I was able to fit in there, so it rests kind of up on that metal in here. So this is one half of it. I also had to notch the backside where I have some bolts connecting the angle iron and that divider. And this one actually came out super good. It fits really, really well. I'm going to put some screws through the angle iron into here, and I'm also going to build a couple brackets that will screw to the front of the cab and into this piece of wood, and I'll show you those when I finish that. But fair to show you, in case you're trying to do something similar, kind of what we did and how we made it work. All right. I just wanted to show you guys the brackets. I told you I'd show you when we were done with this overhang. You can see everything fits pretty nicely. I ended up doing it in 2 pieces. Luckily, yeah, all that came together really well. So I'm going to install some more bolts through this here, kind of out of the way so I don't hit my head on it anytime I'm coming in and out. But yeah, overall, that went swimmingly. As you can see, I did have like a difference between the left and right pieces. So what I did is I set them in here separate. Then I measured the distance between these two, and then I ripped that off of one board. And it worked out really well. They actually fit super good. So these are the brackets that I made. I made these out of pieces of Clifford's roof, where I cut the max fan out. So I just cut a 3-inch strip. It's like 3 inch by like 1.25 inches. And then bent them, drilled 2 holes, and I'm using a self-tapping screw to go into this area of the van. I was concerned about putting a self-tapping screw here because it's very close to the outside of the van. I was worried I'd punch a hole through the skin of the van. This, I end up kind of in this dead space in here where there's quite a bit. So that's good, and then a wood screw into the plywood that doesn't come through the other side. And yeah, I'm gonna install 4 of these probably over the top of each one of the visor clips or visor mounting points, and then bolt there, and I think we'll be good. It's actually super sturdy just by itself. It doesn't wiggle around much, but you know, I want to secure it just in case things get crazy in here. So, yeah, thanks for watching.
If you like this video, what should you do?
Subscribe!
Subscribe! Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. If you have any questions, if you're like, what the heck, what did they do? They skipped over this part. Hit us up. We'll make sure to respond. Oh, Amber, you're such a good girl.